died like this, you know, and they give him the injection for the, there's a special injection they give it to someone who is lost, not anymore.
To show and offer, and I'm gonna save the talks for these people, and these people became the authorized people to sell antiquities ever since then. They were the only people authorized to sell antiquities. Now you find other places, but these are the original. A free bottle of water. Okay, when you come back on the bus, so you'll get free bottle of water, and we'll find a place to do a picnic lunch. Then we'll have we'll go for visit and mass in Ain Karim, the birthplace of Saint John the Baptist. This gentleman is called Shibli, Father Shibli. He is 2015 years old with a certificate.
He didn't go to that sea, did he?
I look good for 2000.
He's the grandson of that gentleman there. I'm gonna save the talks for him.
Good afternoon. Yes, 15 minutes afternoon. As I told you, I'm the grandson of Mr. Kando, which his name mentioned or his picture in every documentary or anything talks about the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is the way how he dressed. We're Christians, okay? But the way he dressed, this is the traditional Turkish dress, which he inherited from his dad. Little background, just small background. He and his mom and dad from the survivors of the genocide, of the massacre. In 1895, there was two genocides, one in 1895 and one in 1915. They were from the survivors, were not Armenians. When the Armenians, it started happening with them, they ran away from their villages and they went to other villages to hide till the order came out to finish every Christian. We call them, at then used to call them the Aramaics, because our mother tongue, till now, we still from the few in the world who speak the Aramaic language. This is my mother tongue. Imagine. So I am actually older than 2015 years. Which nowadays, they call him the Syrian. And that's why Syria being named. Because our kingdom, then it was located between Turkey, Syria, and Iraq. So, as I said, after that incident took place, they ran away from there. They kept running and walking from place to place, from country to country, from city to city, till in the end it ended up with them, they came and settled in Bethlehem. The reason, and then my great-grandfather and my grandfather, and this is something also we inherited, were very believers, very religious, and they choose to live in Bethlehem closer to the birthplace of Christ. which till now, since then, our home still in the same location. Of course, with some other renovations, but still in the same location from then. The books, most of the books talks about how the shepherds were running after one of the goats which they lost, and they reached in front of one of the caves, they throw the stones, try to make the goat comes out. Have you been there?
Yes.
You saw that from far away.
Yes.
Is there any possibility any goat can climb up, climb down, and go to the caves? No way. And as we know, not everything written in every book is good, should be the truth, you know, except the Bible, the Word of God, you know. But then, let me share with you now some of the facts which few in the world know it, and actually I'm start writing it in my book, which is going to be published by the end of 2016. And then after that, I have to immigrate from here and come and live in the US because I will be
Rich.
No, I want to run away because till my grandfather was alive, we've been threatened not to say a word about the whole story or how it took place. So anyway, then those two guys, they were working for my grandfather. They were his employees. His employees not in the leather workshop, because beside his major profession for my grandfather, he was also known as antique dealer. And those guys, they were working for him. Whenever he has suspicious that they might find something, he used to send them to dig, and whatever they find to bring him. So it took him over 2 years to convince those two guys to go to the caves, because in the Islamic traditions, they were believing in the ghosts and the genies and these kind of things. After 2 years, they went to the caves. Yes, they throw the stone inside the cave, but not for sake of the goat. They throw the stone to say if there's an animal inside or a genie inside, so you can run away. You know? They heard something broken, crack. They went inside. Of course, neither my grandfather or they or anybody were expecting to find something like this. They found few things on the ground. They found other parts of things in different other caves. But what they caught their eyes and their attention more than they found it on the ground was what was inside the walls of the cave. Inside the wall there was like holes, big tall holes, and those holes were like shelves. And they were putting the manuscripts inside it because they were holy manuscripts, not allowed to touch the ground. So they pulled one of them and they came to my grandfather. When my granddad held this piece, wow, what's this? He was able to tell it's old, he knew manuscript, but he wasn't sure if it is authentic or not, and from the dust and the earth on it, he wasn't able to recognize anything. He kept it for a few weeks, cleaning it cautiously till the inscriptions start showing up. And this is how we say God works in a mysterious way. From the whole antique dealers or the cobblers in the city of Bethlehem came to him, and from the whole manuscripts which been found later, that was the only manuscript which it was written in his mother tongue, the Aramaic language. So by reading what shows it clearly, compared it with the Bible to find out that it's the same as the book of Daniel. The book of Daniel was the only manuscript which all of it was written in the Aramaic language. So the biblical issue for him was more important than the archaeological issue. He asked the shepherds to get back to the caves and bring him whatever they can find. So between 1947 till 1952, late 52, over 90% from what been found in the caves brought between his hands. He started showing it to so many archaeologists, professors, clergies. Anybody can say anything about this excavation. The only people who paid attention for it at them were the Dominicans, priests, because till now they are considered from the most educated clergy, especially in the Semitic languages. But they have the same thing. They were not sure if it is authentic or not. Till 1958, he gave 3 pieces to our bishop, who was here, to take it outside the country, to show it to other people because it was more flexible for the clergies to be moving. After traveling a few countries in the Middle East and in Europe, it ended up with the bishop. He reached, guess where? No? Where are you from?
Oh, Canada State.
Lower, to the US, and particularly in New Jersey. And the reason also, because at then the only place in the world which was able to make the nuclear test, the carbon-14 test, was either in or through Princeton University. So over there they made the test, they made the researches, and the news about this excavation start going out from there to all over the world. Everybody then started running after him to buy the scrolls, to get the scrolls from him, which he kept refused selling it or giving it to anyone because he had a dream, a big dream to establish the first Christian Catholic museum in the city of Bethlehem. But unfortunately, you know, not everything you dream about you can fulfill. Till 1967, after the 6 days of war, that dream stopped. After Israel occupied the West Bank, nothing to hide it was written in the whole newspapers. The first stop for them before the Wailing Wall even to pray was the neighborhood where Kando was living, my granddad. After 14 hours negotiation, tried to convince to give them the scrolls. Of course, he refused that. They arrested him for 4 days and they confiscated the scrolls from him. Except one piece, which they didn't pay attention for it. After 2 years, they found that there's a missing part of that excavation and they tried to take it back from him, but he fight so hard to keep it, and some of the good relationships start establishing between my granddad and the Israeli government. They allowed him to keep it and became like part from my family heritage, which it is this jar. There's 4 jars in the world, 2 in the Israeli museum, and he actually kept 2. Okay, but one of them, it has been given away before Israel occupied and without the agreement. But it was in 1963 when His Holiness Paul VI, he visited over here. He gave him that jar with a fragment of Isaiah. And another thing, I will show you part of it later to you. It has been given as a gift from my grandfather to the Vatican, which now they are displayed in the Vatican Museum. This is considered the largest, the most important one, because the most 2 important scrolls actually were found in this one. The book of Isaiah and the temple scroll. The Antiquities, after that chaotic incidents, it became something major in his life, and it became one of his major profession. The only compensation he has at then, which the Israelis, they made it up for him, they gave him the license to deal with antiquities because it was prohibited and not allowed to, and he became the first official licensed antique dealer in this country, if not all over the Middle East. And this profession still goes in the family from generation to generation. So in this section, all what you're looking at is genuine and original antiquities. Started from the Chalcolithic period, 4000 BC, runs down to all these biblical ages, till it will reach my cousin, the early Christianity period. He's much younger. Well, anyway, I know in the US or Canada, anything 200, 300 years old, you call it antique. For us, anything less than 1500, we call it new. That's why till the 5th century, and then history stopped, you know, whatever comes after that, we call it a modern archaeological artifacts. Through all these periods, the longest to occupy the country over here was the Roman period. And anything connected to the time of Christ, for us as Christians, Catholics, Orthodox, Protestants, whoever, that's the most meaningful and the most significant. I will show you some pieces now, which we call them biblical antiquities, that they have significance and also mentioned in the Bible. First of all, this is an oil lamp. It's called Herodian oil lamp. And from the name, it takes you back to the time of Herod the Great, 1st century. Each verse in the Bible talks about the oil lamp. This is the kind which were used. The biblical name for this oil lamp, they call it the Virgin's oil lamp. As the Bible, the 10 virgins were carrying the lamps. Or the foot oil lamp, that the people used to tie them in their sandals and walk through the nights like flashlights nowadays. And as you know, that there's a verse, I don't know if it was in Psalms or in the verse, that
A light to my feet.
a light to your feet, exactly. You heard about the tear bottles? Collecting the teardrops?
The emperor.
Emperor, that's right. This is a glass bottle dated back to that period, 1st century BC, 1st century AD, known as the tear bottle. Traditionally, each girl, the most valuable and the most precious thing she has at that time, it was her tears. Each girl was collecting her teardrops in these bottles, till that girl will find the right man, the suitable man who will appreciate her, who will love her, who's going to take her as his lifetime partner. Out of appreciation, she used to give him this bottle, because through her tears, she was giving her true, pure, sincere feeling, her heart and her life. When the married women, their husbands used to leave their home, especially for a war reason, she will keep crying and collecting her teardrops in these bottles. If he will be back alive, by giving him this bottle, he will know what he means to her. If he's going to be killed and his body won't be back, these bottles will go to the tomb, which is the significance of his grave, so when she will pass away and she will bury there, so their souls, they can meet together. Maria Magdalene, when she entered the house, she was carrying one alabaster perfume bottle that she spread on the Lord's feet and washed his feet with her hair. But beside the valuable perfume, she spread the most valuable thing, which for her, more valuable than the perfume, her tears. Her tears of sins. She believed he is the Lord, to have the forgiveness from him. This is the kind of tear bottles which were used. Nowadays, by the way, the past 10, 15 years, they start using them again. And not just by the women, but by the men. And all over the world. You know when? Especially in the end of each month, when the credit card bills start. That's why if you look there, you will find them in bigger sizes.
That's a good one.
Good. All right.
I know, Johnny, and you have seen the Jerusalem cross, and they explained to you about the Jerusalem cross. You will find it wherever you go in different designs, different materials. Except what I'm going to show you right now, which you won't be able to find it any other place. Because in what I'm showing you, it carries the biblical and the archaeological meaning in the same piece. Look at this Jerusalem cross. Okay, there's a copper coin in the middle. The coin, archaeologically named Lepton of Pontius Pilate, year 26 AD. Biblically known as the widow's mite. You know what's the widow's mite? When the widow entered the temple and paid her last 2 mites, and Jesus hold the mites and said that those mites worth than all your money. So in something like this, you're gathering both the archaeological and the biblical meaning. One of the most rarest and most biblical coin in the history of excavation, the silver shekel of Tyre, or the tetradrachma of Tyre, biblically known as the temple tax. This is what Christ asked St. Peter before entering Capernaum, to open the mouth of the fish and pick the coin so they can pay the tax for both of them. Which it is also the same kind of the 30 pieces of silver that paid for Judas Iscariot for his betrayal. Do you know Cardinal Timothy Dolan?
Yeah, it's Boston.
Okay, look him up about his theological explanation about this coin. And you will understand what's the value, because a lot of people, they say, wow, 30 pieces of silver, we don't like to touch it, we don't like to go there, we don't like to have it. But the meaning behind it, as he explained it, everybody would wish to have something like this for himself. 9, there is something, usually we don't put it out for display, and we keep it aside. Those are from the unique biblical things. And usually we don't show it to everybody. But yesterday when Johnny told me that he's coming, and he said, Shipley, please, can you show my people something from the, not displayed, from what's inside, underneath in the drawers. And they are, when he mentioned to me that they're Catholics, I said, okay, fine, no problem, no doubts about that. Because I know very well that other than the Catholics, they don't appreciate something like this very much. Let me give you just a little bit background about it, before I will show it to you. 1951. British and Italian mission, they came over here to renovate most of the big significant churches. Church of Nativity, Church of the Holy Sepulchre, Annunciation, different other places. Through renovations they found things, a lot of things. From part of the things that they found ended up to be in the Rockefeller Museum, which at then belonged to the Jordanian government, because the country were under the Jordanian mandate. Part of it ended to be with the custodians of the Holy Land, which later went to the museum, and part came to my grandfather. Don't ask how or why, but it happened. From the things that came to my grandfather, a box. The box wasn't that big and not that thick, you know. Inside the box, there was 39 small crosses and a big cross, okay, and fragments. In the top of the box, the name of Saint Helena. Inside the box, there were, as I said, 39. The big cross, the name of Saint Helena was carved in the middle, and the manuscript was from Saint Helena's handwriting, also herself. By making the carbon-14 test on the manuscript, they find out that it belonged to the 3rd century, beginning of 3rd century AD, which it is the exact time when Saint Helena came over here. Now, the place where this box being found, that's what makes it so very unique and special. You have been visiting there, in the Church of Nativity, in the manger, in the birthplace. You know, when you go down the manger, the star on your right side, 2 pails exactly in front of the stars. When they pull up the pails, the box were found there. My granddad, he has a habit. Anybody bring him something unique and special, he never put it out on display directly. He wait to see if they will bring him something else from different other sites, so in that case he can evaluate or give the right evaluation for these pieces. He passed away, forgot about it. Of course, 39, they were not completed, 39, when we found them later, because he gave each one of his sons 1 cross as blessed, because this is considered as a relic. And so it ended up to be 32, and then he gave 5 crosses away to some of his friends and the family friends, like Cardinal Timothy Dolan, like Cardinal Justin Regali, and some other clergies besides Paul VI, you know. So the rest he kept them. He passed away. He forgot about them. We forgot about him till last December, sorry, before Christmas. My aunt, while she was fixing his closet, she found a leather bag. We put them out for display, or we talked about it actually to the groups who were coming over here. The first group, 2 groups actually, were here in January. I don't know if you know Jeff Cavins, one of the Catholic evangelical, and Dr. Scott Hahn.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Dr. Scott Hahn and Jeff Cavins, those are the most 2, yeah, they're my friends. So they came over here with the groups from 32, 32, 32, 31, 32, from the 29 crosses that I was having, I'm having the last 6 pieces. And that's why we put them out for display, because I want to give them to people who really appreciate, especially as Catholics. That's my major concern. And what I'm talking about is this. The cross in the center is the copper, okay? And we framed it with the gold, so it could be word. $10 per.
We can touch and take blessings.
This is as I told you, as they explained, that those are relics more than they are just something as a jewelry, which it goes in the family, stays in the family, and goes from generation to generation. That's why my dad, he gave me his. The moment my son being born, I took it out from my neck, I put it in the safe, that goes to him. And of course I will kill him if he give it to someone else. That goes from generation to generation. So, as I said, I have the last 6 pieces. I hope that those last 6 pieces also will end up between Catholic hands, not people which just going to take it as a merchandise to deal with it. Later on we'll talk about it. No, trust me. You know, this is also known about us, and you can ask Johnny and different other people. God blessed us. God blessed my grandfather with all the deceiving that he has in his life and people being cheated him. Always God is watching, and God will compensate you, and God will look out for you, and regardless any human being is standing against you. And as we say, not a hair drop from your head. Exactly. So we are not a greedy person. We're not using people. We are hard workers. Yes, we work hard, and we gain it from my grandfather. Your reputation is much more important than the whole money of the world, because what it will be if you gain the world and you lose yourself. So don't worry, the price is not that big things.
Tell us now what's the price.
Pardon?
Tell us now what's the price.
The price, no, tell you. The price is between $3,000 to $4,000. Which, for something like this, something like this even, anything and I can find people who will pay for it. Because they are not like something like a coin or a pottery or any kind of archaeological artifact that could be found wherever. Exactly. And can you wrap your mind that you own something which belonged to Saint Helena? Can you wrap your mind around that you have something which has been found in the most holiest spot, in the birthplace? You know, as I said, it carries a lot of archaeological and biblical meaning, mostly more than the archaeological meanings. Besides, there's plenty of other artifacts which anybody interested will be gladly helping you with. This store, as you can see, is full of large varieties of different items, you know, all you have an idea about it, from the olive wood carvings to the mother of pearl, the icons, and everything else. The prices in the shop all marked in US dollars. Plastic money, paper money. Shipping, you don't have to worry about carrying anything with you. We can ship. Besides that, anything you buy from Israel, from the Holy Land, up to $1 million, it's duty-free and tax-free. You don't have to worry about declaring it when you're leaving the country or when you're entering back. Prepared for you, mahadarush. It's ready. A cup of tea with sage and honey. It's very delicious, very healthy. Help yourself with it. Thank you for the listening. And
Thank you.
it's a great pleasure seeing you all.